Okay. So in this process of me trying to structure some of my own chaos, uh, I'm trying to find the time to um, create this project that allows me to share with people that knows me and work with me some of the colleagues, facilitators, and teachers that I study from, or I invite people to work with. And we've been working together now, it's I think 2 years.
Something like
It's
that,
like
yeah.
coming 2 years now. I'm not good with memory. It's not my
I
great
know.
greatest skill.
I don't count on it. It's okay.
And I remember that we have a slow start, you know, we didn't rush into doing too many things together in the beginning. We really get to know each other. And at some point, something clicked for me, and I understood some things about you. Not just, I mean, on the personal, relational stuff between you, I mean, like on the work you can do with people. And then how do you call it? The flood started.
The floodgates open.
The floodgates open,
Yeah.
and it's became like really like on daily basis that we're sharing the work with people, um, and we had quite a few very deep stuff, I would say, like people that have considered themselves with great challenges, and some of them kind of didn't really have hope for getting out of whatever was troubling them. I would even say didn't even know what's troubling them sometimes on a level, like getting stagnation in life, or really not sleeping good at night, or like really difficult moments for them. And so first of all, I from time to time I say thank you, but I want to take this specific opportunity to say thank you in a very specific way, which is sometimes I have people that I don't know what to do. Like I talk with them and I see them, but I don't feel like I have the thing I can give them. And in many of those cases, you are my go-to person. I will not say that you are my only one, but specifically for those kind of things, you became my go-to person. And I find it like a lot of relief being able to work with you. It's challenging for me to sit with someone and not really being able to give them anything or to share with them something good. And so having you in my connection, it's been really very beautiful in the last 2 years. So thank you for that. And also, I want to share this content with you that we're creating now as kind of honoring the work that you do. So I have few very specific things that I want to ask you, but if you want to add a little bit more, because you have your whole entire philosophy about what you do, so really interesting that maybe if you can share a little bit. And I have questions that I want to ask.
Where do you want to start?
I tell you, there is one thing that you do that was one of the most impactful things that I saw that happening to human beings, which I tell you what I tell people that you do,
Okay.
and then you tell what you do, because I'm thinking that the story I tell them, it's not exactly what's happening there. So first of all, I call you Maya Voice. That's how I tell them, Maya Voice. Have you met Maya Voice? You know Maya Voice? And then I explain them that you do some work that is related to breathing, and but it's not rebirthing or all of these practices. And then you do something with the voice on top of it, but it's not necessarily singing. So it's like you don't have to be a singer to do this. It's not like a singing class. And at some point, it gets you into some kind of a trance. And then I tell them that you guide them like a guided meditation on top of this, but I don't really can explain what you say. And then at some point you are somewhere else, and the magic is happening, and it feels like you're taking medicine, like you drink, eat mushrooms or do LSD or I don't know, like drink ayahuasca, but it's without anything.
Yeah.
And then some magic is happening there, and that's what I tell them, and then they go to you, and then they come back and tell me that something happened to them. So I don't know what you really do, but that's what I know to explain, and people understand it. So yeah, maybe it's simple enough. Yeah.
That's why they come to me and they don't know what I do, because that's what you explain to them.
But they're curious enough to come. Like usually they go to when I tell them the story, they want to know what's happening, so they come.
Okay. Okay, how about I give you kind of how I see the voice? Would that be okay? So I ask people to imagine that that there's a glass dome around them, okay? And this glass dome is representing their voice because their voice is used externally. And when they're born, the glass is really clear and clean and open, and you can see through it, and you cry and you scream, and everything is super easy. And then as you start to grow up, your mother puts her fingerprints on your glass, and your father, and your immediate family, and then your extended family, and then your religion perhaps, and then your society and your government, and maybe all the other experiences that you had. Maybe it was in the military, or it was through partners and all the relational things. So by the time you're an adult, that glass is very muddled and dirty. And so we're all searching for small corners of this glass that we can truly express ourselves. But mainly we're like crouching ourselves into some small box so that we don't say anything that's going to disturb all of the prints and implements on our hands, all the ideologies and concepts. I feel like at this point, my real job is to help people clean that. And that's a whole process of learning how to calm the nervous system so that you can dig deep and remove all the things that keep you inauthentic, keep you separated from yourself. And therefore, when we're separated from ourselves, we don't feel whole. We don't feel fully connected to ourselves. And therefore, we can't live our life fully to its extent. So there's depression, there's sadness, there's grief, there's many things that we're not expressing or allowing to come out for fear of judgment, for embarrassment, for ideas of who we think we're supposed to be. When you remove those things, the voice is a great tool, a fast one, It's like a superhighway. It gets energy, that stuck energy out of you fast. And it's a big thing to remove those things, because then you come back to center and you can really start to know yourself and discover who you really are without all of the influence of everything around you. And that coming to center brings you into a place of not just stillness, but true authenticity. And then you start to attract to your life all the things that are really for you, the partners that are for you, the business connections that are for you, the abundance that can come into your world.
Wow. Okay. So if I take it to the language that I usually use, I would say that what you're talking about, this glass dome that is limiting, or it's like around me, then there is stains on it, so I cannot see through reality. Correct. And so if something comes to me, it will be interpreted in the wrong way.
Correct.
And then the other way, if something comes out of me, it will not go through.
That's right.
Might be blocked.
And maybe not in the wrong way, but in a way that's influenced on you, that's not your own. And so then we're confused, as you like to say, right? People are very confused.
Let's create the confusion.
Yes.
And then from confusion, we will see fear and avoidance and war and all of these like inner conflicts and all of these things.
Yes. And also the holding of all of that, What happens usually is we come up to say the thing and then we suppress. And then we come up again and the fear of whatever we've created in our mind is suppressing again. To the point where we've pushed it so far down that the voice is the most vulnerable part of us, the most. And so to come and use it when we are confused or uncomfortable or in fear it can feel almost too big to do, almost too much to handle. So we go in, we go quiet, and then we're holding grief, sadness. The unexpressed is very difficult.
So I hear that what you're saying is that. So I'll say what I understand. Okay,
Please.
so there is these things that I want to express, and I see that they are coming, and then I don't. But what you actually said, or I understand, that there are things that already not even coming out, or like I don't even know that they want to come, because it's after so many years of self-suppression, let's call it like this. So, like I don't even know that there are things. So it's like it doesn't even exist in my reality, but it's actually inside of me, just waiting to move or to shift or to change. And from the philosophies that I come from, that means that those things are controlling my life. And I don't know what are the things that are controlling my life. So then I go around and nothing works for me. And I don't even know why it's not working for me.
Yeah.
So it's like really deep, what I call the black boxes.
Yes.
The things that I close, then I lock down, and it's like nobody knows.
I'll even give you one more aspect, okay? Imagine that something happens to you when you're a child, okay? Let's say 2 years old. And you kind of look to that child, not knowingly, okay? And you say, you okay, you okay? All right, I gotta keep living, because you have to keep surviving, you gotta keep growing up. So you kind of leave that aspect there. And then it just keeps happening over time, you know? Something happens when you're 5, 10, 15, 25, 30. These things where we're just not dealing with them. So we're just putting them aside and we're kind of like keep surviving. And then we don't feel whole as adults. And we question, why are we not feeling? Because we've left so many parts of ourselves that were undealt with, all of that suppression. And I think a big part of it is learning how to speak to those parts, bringing them in literally, and allowing that to be expressed so that you can feel that those parts have come home to you again. And you can really start to express and therefore call in all the things that you really want in your life and even understand what that is without feeling the disconnection to yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, it totally makes sense. It's very interesting. So practically, I cooperate with you in two different spaces. One is that I share your contact with someone and he comes to you and he does the one-on-one work with you, which I know about two things that you do with them in the sessions. One is this thing that I talked about the voice and the expression, and then like guided meditation. And one of the things that I saw that you're doing, I want you to give me the name that you give this work, but it's something like I'm looking into my future and making like I'm defining the path, how it's going to look, and I'm like creating a contract for my future. Does it? Do you know what I'm talking about? That you do?
So I call it stepping into your becoming.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I heard this name from you.
Yes.
Stepping into
Your becoming.
your becoming.
I feel like we're all, that's kind of the goal, right? The goal is to keep stepping into the man or woman that you know you're meant to be in this life, right? So each step we take, we want to grow closer to that, right? That soul calling, that being inside of us that we know that that's who we're here to be, the one who has the knowledge, the integrity, and the self-belief that they can, right? So I think a big part of that is, you want me to talk about the physicality of it, what happens, or how it's guided, or what are you asking me?
I don't know if you want to share with, I know that sometimes it's a surprise for people what you actually do. So if you want to say some things about it, is okay. I don't tell them too much about it. They just come and experience you. But I want to go back to what
Stepping
you
into the becoming.
Stepping into the becoming. This, sometimes it feels for someone who is very shut down. It's just like, really this fantasy mambo jumbo, it's like it's not even connected. And so it's an interesting to see, like, I know you don't do it in the first session with people.
No.
So you start with like breaking the walls or whatever you call it, or I don't know, like breaking the limits.
Yeah, we have, I guess the reality is that I believe you cannot rebuild on something that is suppressed, right? You can't just they say fake it till you make it, kind of just get over it. You can't just get over it. Grief, pain, memories, they live in the body. There's a great philosophy about how the body keeps the score, so it keeps the score of all your trauma and all your living throughout your whole life. But you can't keep those things in the body. They have to move out in order to make room for the new. And when you can bring the most vulnerable part of yourself, your voice, with a calm nervous system, right, to the peak of releasing all of that from the body, then suddenly, you've got room in there for something else. And then you have to start to change the language, because the reality is most of our language to ourselves is really not kind. We live in the mind of judgment and criticism that is either ours or isn't ours. It's our conditioning. The conditioning is deep. And so when you can start to release all of that, even physically from your body, well, I do it through the voice, yeah? You're really moving vibration and frequency through the body. And when you're moving that out, suddenly you feel that you can, that there's an empowerment, that there's a piece of you that you've touched that you thought was not there. There's a great courage when you have encouragement, right? So you have external encouragement, or you build an internal encouragement for yourself so that you can really step into the man, the woman that you are wanting to be. There's a certain understanding when you release grief and pain that you're opening to something more true for you. And you start taking smaller steps, even smallest steps, right? Where you're saying, oh, okay, that's who I want to be. So I'm going to maybe do yoga, or I'm going to maybe start meditating. I'm going to do something that before felt so unreachable for me because I didn't even have room in here. And now you've released and you've allowed, and this stepping into our becoming is really allowing ourselves to leave the criticism, the judgment, the conditioning, and think about who we're meant to be. So I would say you have to change your language, if you want to change something. And this comes with speaking, with using your voice, with writing it out, with really listening and making this connection between the internal and external voice.
It totally makes sense to me, and it really fits this modality that I'm using as well, which is basically saying you have a container, your container is full of garbage, and you want to have love inside of you. No, you have to take out the garbage and love will arrive. And so what I see is that basically you have this modality of cleaning or what you call taking out whatever is not necessary or delimiting, and then basically rebuilding, which is filling up the container with the good things.
And I love the way that you always talk about how we are here to expand our container, right? Our ability to contain more, because life doesn't stop giving you, It doesn't halt, it doesn't pause. It just keeps giving you more. But if we can start to expand our container to hold, then we can deal with many more things in our life. And therefore we can have more courage and take the steps to step into the person we want to become.
Okay, so I can see the one-on-one work around this, and I can see that in one-on-one it might be easy also to come in to do this work because they've got the whole you to support them, and there is not so much people to be ashamed and shy of and all of these things. And I know that you have very strong space, very solid, and allowing people to go through very strong stuff. There is another thing that we do together, which is the group work. And I know that you do also a lot of group work without me, not in a corporation of things that we do together. And I want to reflect a little bit about this work. The main points, what I want you, maybe if you want to say some things about this, is one of the things that when we do a big workshop and then you come to do your session, my concerns as going into your session is everybody will participate, they will feel shy, they will not allow themselves to be free and to express themselves. And also this thing that we do, sometimes our work can be very heavy on the mind and the emotional system. So like one of the reasons that I invite you is to like move all of this so we'll not get stuck with all the deep serious work that we do and stuff like this. So if you want to talk a little bit about this thing, the group dynamics, and maybe a little bit about more of the work that you do, that it's a bigger workshop, not just this, the sessions that we do together.
Yeah, I know you're afraid. In those sessions, we all come afraid. So there's a really beautiful dynamic that happens in group work, yeah? For example, when you come into a group scenario, and you come to do group work, you start to understand that we all take ourselves way too seriously, okay? And when you start to release yourself from all of that seriousness, something deeper actually happens there. Because you start to lighten up, you start to have a little fun, you start to move these judgments and all these criticisms and all these like conditioning out of you. And then you start to realize that everyone has it. You know, I tell people the biggest critics that living, they know you're worried about what everyone thinks about you, they live between your ears. And everyone's got the same one, so that's what they're thinking of. The moment you get into a group setting, there's a shared collective understanding that we're one, that we're all the same, that we all go through the same things. We have the same fears, we have the same conditioning in different ways, but very, very similar. So there's some sort of ease that happens when people look around and they go, oh, she is too, oh, he too, oh, okay, I'm not alone, right? And then I think that the magic within the group container is that everyone is there to really do the work and support one another. And I always remind them that although they're here for themselves, they're also here for the neighbor next to them. And then we create a collective, then we are a community, then we are, you know, I say that I don't like the idea of taking up space, okay? The world is full of people who do or don't take up space. I believe in the concept that everyone should take their place in the world. And if we each take our place in the world, then the machine will work very well together. And this gives people an opportunity to own that, to take their place and be a part of something bigger than them. This is where you and I very much understand the importance of community. And so even if we are going through a big explosive experience, okay, to release whatever is going on, when we hear the other is also moving through it, it gives us some sense of permission to really let go. And there's magic in the air when that happens. It's visceral, you can feel it. You know, there are certain moments when we do our day together that I come in and there's one feeling right in the room because you've been doing a lot of deep work. And then give me about an hour and work somewhere else, right? Suddenly an hour later, they're kind of a little more loose. And then give me another hour and then we're in some sort of form of like unity and stillness. They've worked with sound together, they've moved their voices together, they've got their nervous system calm, and then there's another frequency in the room. And then you do a release and there's another frequency. So we understand that we can move through many things. And this is the part of the container. You know, now you've contained so much, now you go into your life, you're like, well, I did that. Everything else is easy.
Yeah, I would say that in my strategy around working through the workshops, when I work with you, I kind of using your skills, let's say, if that's the word to say, in two different ways. One is to kind of create trust and break the challenges and the tension and so on. So it's like a little bit like, oh, okay, everyone is okay and we're okay, and then easier to communicate with each other. And you see it also after the session, how people are communicating, which is one thing. And then the second thing, what I like to use is this capacity to take everyone to their deepest point, where really the challenge is, and like be able to be there with this thing and to kind of reshape it in a way, and kind of reprogram maybe even the thing. Yeah, reprogram, I would say. Like sometimes we use the word write a new contract.
Yeah.
And so
it's like rewiring the brain.
Yeah.
You have to rewire those parts. And there is that essence, right? At some point we go so deep that it's almost as if we are breaking some barrier between the ability to go there without feeling like you're going to die. We really go to those deep places. And once you've kind of broken that barrier, then you've got room to rewire your thoughts and your mind and find a loving conversation that normally people just don't have with themselves. And the moment you can really see yourself and speak in this way to yourself, that's the moment that you can start changing those brainwaves. You can start rewiring those neurons that are connecting suddenly differently. And then you're leaving with, like a new sense of how you can be with yourself. It's a huge, huge shift in the way you even perceive yourself.
Okay. I have a technical question.
Yes.
Do you also so it goes like this. I mostly work with people that are in our field, like they are here in Kopangan or like in my workshops and stuff like this. Do you work with people remotely?
Yeah, so my business actually started online. When I really started working with people, I was working with people from all over the world. I was living in Australia at the time, so I was also very far from the rest of the world. And I realized that distance actually makes no real difference. I wasn't quite sure if it would work, but today my understanding is that energy has no barrier. And to really work with people in an intimate way has more to do with who you are than where you are. And so when I work with people online, when I work with people remotely, when I work with people through a Zoom situation, it's almost amazing how much we feel like we're in the same room. So there's really no barrier to time and space and distance. Of course, I'd much rather be in hugging distance with people. But yeah.
Okay.
Also, I want to say that doing mentorships with people online is one thing from a distance, but I'm also holding group containers online. And what's really amazing about that is that we are creating like a web, of people all over the world. It creates this incredible connection that you find that you can have someone in Argentina and someone in Australia and someone in Thailand and someone in England. And suddenly there's this beautiful commonality. We create a community of people who are really building a life that is impacting others in such a big way. I work a lot with coaches and leaders and healers and people who are trying to make a big difference in the world. And so when you get a web of that all over the world, suddenly you've made an amazing community of people who are actually making a difference.
Another question that I have to you is, do you kind of supporting people on the wider scale of their process, which is like not just the part of what they are doing directly with you, this practice, like guiding them what to do in times like other practices, or like tell them that you go do this and you go practice this and stuff like this, or
yes. So although, let's say, the voice would be my expertise, okay? Also because I really believe it's an amazing tool for healing and for growth, and also because we need to use it. I mean, we use it externally. We can go meditate for hours. We can do Vipassana. We can go silent forever. But ultimately, we want this. We want connection. We want to build a life together. So, so it comes from this perspective of there's a wholeness in life, right? We can't just do one thing. And when I work, I kind of steal your model, right? Where I use people and I engage other people in creating a whole environment for healing, right? Because we have many modalities that need to be used. And also because I'm also a coach, let's say a life coach, doing some spiritual teachings, those kind of things. All of that is incorporated in what I'm doing. So it's not just the voice, but I do believe that the voice is a really powerful tool.
So you're also a general doctor. To be honest, when I explain people what I do, I say I'm a general doctor, but I'm not a doctor, I have no certificates, no knowledge about anything. But anyway,
For entertainment purposes
yes,
only.
like, just disclaimer. I'm not representing anyone here. But I also tell them that I do specialize in some things.
Yes.
So let's say if your challenge is overthinking, I know a lot about overthinking, yeah? But it doesn't mean that I'm very specialized, let's say, about the voice. So I'm also working with people and I do have some specialties. And I think it's very similar in that way.
And also, life experience brings us into places that we can't even imagine that we'll end up. Yeah. And so when you have such a, let's say you and I both have some pretty crazy deep life experiences that have brought us to the place where we understand that there's a wholeness to healing. It's not just one thing. And I think that we hold this similar understanding that we can bring ourselves fully and understand how important it is to have a collective to create a deeper healing on a bigger path.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
So I think there's a big misconception that people have that they don't have a voice, okay? Or that they have a terrible voice, or that they shouldn't hear their voice. And all their life they've been told that they shouldn't use their voice. Okay? And I've come to understand that this has created a big vulnerability in our voice, okay? In our ability to express, okay? And what I want to say is that we've never learned how to use that instrument, okay? And because it's an instrument that's inside of our body, our physicality and our, discomfort creates that container where we don't think we can use it, okay? And I want to say that that is not true. It's just not true. It's the one thing that every human being in the world has, whether you're a man or a woman or from a different country or a different color skin or anything, culture, everyone's got a voice, right? Which is also really fascinating. And what's also fascinating is that it's the greatest way to recognize someone. That's why they use vocal recognition, like governments and banks and things like that, because its frequency is only one of a kind, okay? So this ultimately means that if they had taught us how to use our voice, everyone would be using their voice because they would feel comfortable, but they don't. So most people take a breath and then they start talking. You can't have much of a voice there, and it makes your nervous system really, really tight. And if they had taught us that we can take a breath like a wave and have our voice surfing that wave and being supported, we would speak in a very different way. First of all, the nervous system would be calm. So you wouldn't be coming like this. You'd be coming stealth bomber mode, okay? And also you'd understand that it's an instrument and a mechanism that also has a way to be used. And so the moment people really understand and can practice it, there's a deep comfort that happens, that suddenly they like the sound of their voice and they realize that all they've been told is just an opinion. And suddenly they learn how to use it, and suddenly they can sing, they can sound, they can speak, and there's a level of confidence and grace. There's like a balance there that happens. And when that balance happens, ease starts to come. With the way you speak, the way you're engaging, your relationships are changing because you are comfortable with that.
Yeah, really thank you for everything that you shared. Also, I think it's tuning me even more deeply to understand how to direct the work towards you when we are operating together with people. So I have a little bit more clarity now as well.
Oh, wonderful.
I must say that working with you, it's not something that needed me to understand what you're doing. I just saw the people, what's going in and what's coming out, and that was my guide. And honestly, that's the way I actually work. I don't mind so much what technology people are using in order to support one another. It's more like I'm getting the feeling of what's really happening there from the experience and meeting all these people. So yeah, thank you for everything that you share.
Thank you, love.